about now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, so this is just a page, kind of something that maybe we can put on the website. Cheryl, I can talk to you about that after, but it's a link. My daughter actually put it together, helping me with this thing. So well, I think it's pretty good, but kind of summarizes what we've done today. So the beginning, this first part is just talks about our purpose. And we talked about this last time too. A lot of the stuff we talked about last time, but it's good to reiterate it and add to it and ask questions about it because it's an important issue. And the thing I have bolded here is our only task here is to determine if allowing marijuana businesses into the city would be beneficial to the city or not. And that's the purpose of our study group, our committee. That's kind of what we're trying to do. So that's that. Timeline, we talked about this before. We opted out of allowing marijuana businesses, but we put a sunset on it till September 28, 2020. So by then we need to have addressed the issue. And so our goal is to make a recommendation to the city council of what they should do. And we want to make that recommendation. Initially, we wanted to do it by their July meeting, which I think is the third week of July. And if we can do that, great. If not, we'll do it shortly thereafter. They can have a special meeting potentially to consider the issue. They just need some time to accept our recommendation and then talk about it and then get it implemented before that sunset date. So that's kind of the timeline we're working with. So the summary of the research to date, we looked at the enacted laws in Michigan. Right here is just a small summary. So use of recreational marijuana is legal, of course, in Michigan since the 2018 vote. It was the city residents voted in favor in that election in 2018. They voted by a 63% to 37% margin in favor of legalizing marijuana. If we click on this link, this is a little polygraph. Can't really read it, but it's 63 to 37%. We can link to the actual act itself here. So if anyone wants to check out, I think one goal that we have today is to let our public, our residents know that we've done a lot of research, we've done a lot of work, and it's here and it's available for them to get educated on it as well. If they want to, and check it out and check what we've been doing and look into it themselves. So this link will take you to the Medical Marijuana Act. If anyone wants to look at it in detail, they could do that. I'm not going to go into that in detail at all. But it's legal in Michigan. There's emergency regulations that were extended through July 2020. There's various licenses allowed. We'll add that in here, but there's different types of licenses for medical, recreational, testing facilities, processing facilities, grow facilities, etc. There's different types of licenses that are available. So those are the kind of laws that are in place right now. The next section, types of facilities, the way to do business. So here's the different types of facilities. Grow facilities, which is basically growing the marijuana plants, right? I think our committee has talked about it. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we've determined initially that it's probably not ideal for Lathrup Village. You need bigger facilities for that. We're a small city. We don't have a lot of available space for large grow facilities. Another type of business is a processing facility where they process the plants into usable product. Testing and compliance, medical marijuana provisioning center, recreational provisioning center, that's where you sell medical and recreational marijuana, and transportation businesses. Here is just a little more detail, and this might be a little hard to see, so we'll make it darker for next time. But again, grow facilities, they grow the plants. Processing, they process marijuana into usable products like smoking, oils, edibles, etc. That's what a processing facility does. Provisioning center for medical. It's a facility where people can go to obtain prescribed medical marijuana. Recreational center is a facility people can go to get recreational marijuana. they sell smoking products and other recreational products. There's a micro business, I think, that was added to the regulations where it's cultivation of less than 150 plants. So that's another type of business that could operate. The testing and compliance facility, they test samples of marijuana for compliance with state regulations. They test it for safety, make sure there aren't other substances in it that shouldn't be in it. That's what these testing facilities do. We talked about the recreational provisioning, transportation business. So these are other businesses that deal with the secure transportation of cash or the marijuana products. So those are the different types of businesses that are out there in this industry from what we've researched. Now, there's financial impact related to allowing these businesses into the city. Summary of it is here. I kind of wrote this summary up. So all types of marijuana businesses will bring in some type of revenue related to application fees and license fee revenue. Potential is, from our discussions with other cities, like $5,000 to $10,000 per application fee and per license fee. These fees would renew. They're renewable. They renew each year. The license fee part. There's also inspection fees that can be charged the businesses. I mean, this is just a rough guess, and it's it could vary, but potential license fee revenue could be around $100,000 in the first year. It depends on the number of applicants. I mean, it could add up. If you have 5 to 10,000 per application and license fee, if you have 20 applicants, that's going to be $100,000 there or more. So it just depends how many applicants you have, but the fee revenue could be significant on its own. The thing to keep in mind is only recreational marijuana provisioning centers or retail facilities, they bring in the excise tax revenue, the 10% excise tax revenue that is charged or that is would be received from the state. That could be a significant revenue source as well. It's hard to quantify at this time because cities we've talked to haven't received this money yet. It's going to be done by the state. There's a calculation involved, and so it's out there as a benefit, and it could be significant, but we don't know exactly how that's going to all shake out yet. I click on this button, just summarizes the different benefits. Tax benefits, again, there's a 6% state sales tax. There's this 10% Michigan excise tax that we just talked about. The city's share based on a formula. If you want to see the formula, we'll link to it. Application license fees, renewal fees, other sources of revenue could be inspection fees and special use taxes as well. Cities that we've spoken to have charged businesses a special use type of fee or tax that can be used towards helping make sure we have adequate law enforcement personnel, or just improve some different facilities within the city, those kind of things. Financial costs, there could be administrative time related to processing applications, could be potentially additional police costs. Those are some of the potential costs that are there. The tax benefits, let me go back here one spot. So this is the calculation. Well, this talks about the formula of how the state would allocate the revenue. It would come out of the state's general fund. They'd use first $20 million, for administrative costs that they have administering the regulations and the law. And after that, 15% of the revenue would go to municipalities. And that's going to be basically shared by the cities based on the stores that they have, or the retail facilities that they have. And some of the money goes to school, 35% goes to school aid fund, 35% goes to Michigan Transportation Fund for repair and maintenance of roads and bridges, etc. So there's a formula related to it. The city gets a share of it. You know, it's going to be based on how many facilities are in the city. And right now, it's, you know, we can't really point to a city that's received these funds yet because everything is new and it hasn't come down yet at this point. But that's the financial part of it. The next bit of research and information that we gathered was we had lots of conversations with other cities, with other city administrators, with the mayor, with different members of cities. I try to summarize it right here. All city officials we've spoken with have had a positive experience overall with allowing marijuana businesses in their city. And if that's not a true statement, I'll let somebody point it out. But everyone that we've talked to that I know of has had a pretty favorable report. These cities are going to allow us to review their ordinances and license applications and help us, which would help us if we went down this road. The cities that we've talked to report that they've not seen an increase in crime since allowing these businesses into the city. We've spoken to police personnel as well. They have also supported that and said that they have not seen an increase of crime in the cities. There have not been a significant level of complaints by the residents or nearby businesses. Traffic volume has definitely been an issue in some of the cities. They've seen increased traffic volume with the creation of these stores, the retail and the provisioning centers, retail and medical. That's where the traffic is. The other businesses like processing and testing have not seen traffic problems because those businesses don't have customers coming to their locations. So there's no traffic problem at those facilities. Smell has been an issue in some of the cities, but they've indicated to us that that issue was rectified by the businesses, installing proper ventilation systems and fixing those issues. So that's kind of a summary of our discussions. For detail, you know, I'll welcome anyone to click on the links and kind of go check out the research that we've done, which is summarized here. I don't know if everyone can see that well yet. But here we've got, and I think I showed this before, kind of by city, Ferndale, River Rouge, Walled Lake, Hazel Park. There's one. Yeah, Ferndale, River Rouge, Walled Lake, Hazel Park. We spoke to all those cities, planning manager, community development director, city manager, mayor. And we asked them questions. We talked about their issues, any problems, things like that. Their answers are here. I already summarized what those answers were in my summary, but that data is here. People want to check that out. Go back to this.
Yeah, just one observation, Salim.
Yeah.
And I think Don just pointed it out. So smell was linked to the processing and growing. I don't believe it was linked to retail or medical facilities.
Got it. Understood. So that's kind of our discussions with the city governments. We also had discussions with businesses, professionals and owners that have run marijuana businesses. People that we've spoken to tell us that there needs to be a rigorous vetting and application process. They think that's going to be beneficial for the city. That'll make sure the right businesses get into the city. If we were to do this, that's what we would do. It's up to the city to say who they allow in to their city to conduct these businesses. Businesses will need to comply with the city ordinances that are created. That's kind of our discussions with the businesses. They talk to us. Hold on one second. My kids are being loud, so just give me 1 second. Hey guys.
Tell them no ice cream.
Sorry, that's Zoom. Uh, so we spoke with businesses as well. Hold on, let me get this. So we spoke with Hyatt Labs, spoke with Veritas Labs, spoke with the Cernow Group. They gave us some good information, some good advice, answered some questions that we had. People can check this out as well. And like I said, the end result was we got a lot of advice on be rigorous, have the applications be, as bulletproof as possible. Don't be shy about putting regulations in there that the businesses have to meet. Make sure they meet the proper security measures that the city wants, and make sure that they are going to be good partners with your city if we allow them in. So that's kind of the summary of the businesses. We've also discussed with other people. I'm going to add to this section. We're going to add the police, law enforcement as well. But we spoke with police. We spoke with security professionals. We spoke with health professionals. Discussion there. I'll talk about the police first. We spoke with Police Chief McKee, our chief, today, and we've spoken with 2 other city chiefs. There's definitely reservations on the part of the police, our police chief McKee. I don't want to speak for him. If he's on, or if Officer Thompson is on, they can add as well. But Chief McKee has some reservations. He said, there may be issues of smell. There may be, because of our location in Lathrup Village, right off the highway here, it might be an easy spot for potential criminals to hop on, try to do something, and get back on the freeway and leave. That's an issue. Chief McKee pointed out that he does think having marijuana facilities in the city would potentially lead to more marijuana use among the young people in the city. So there's reservations there among our chief, although I think he will support whatever decision the city makes. In our discussions with the other 2 chiefs, similarly, I think they have reservations, but after the fact that the businesses have been there in their cities, those police chiefs report that they've had no problems. They've had no increase in crime. They've had no issues with other businesses or residents. Complaints have not risen at all, or noticeably, I don't know if at all, but have not had a significant rise. They have not, in summary, to make it short or brief, they haven't had any problems. So I would say they've been maybe surprised based on their initial expectations, but the reality is they haven't seen any big problems. They have seen issues with traffic, which we talked about, but I think those were being managed by the police in combination with the city governments there. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So that's kind of the summary. So that's the police summary. Then we also spoke with security experts who reiterated to us that security is very important. We've spoken with consultants, so we made those connections that we can consult with further. I think the main statements or the recommendations are that make sure the applicants have a security plan as part of their application. That should be reviewed by the city. That should be shared by the city with their police department and fire department, so everyone's aware of it. Everyone has a chance to review it and be okay with it. And you can make it as rigorous as you want to. The state has minimum requirements, but we should be able to put proper measures in place that make sense. Obviously, we don't want to handcuff any business, but we need to put in the measures that make sense. They've also told us, we've spoken to health officials, who've told us, the ones that we've talked to have said they're, from what they've seen, medical marijuana can be beneficial to a lot of patients. They haven't seen, in the cities where they've consulted and seen marijuana businesses operate, they haven't seen a big negative increase in marijuana-related health issues. I mean, that's kind of what we have heard from those people. And so that's kind of it on my end. And the last point I just put on there is, I mean, we know marijuana is legal in the state, so whether it's morally a good or bad thing, that's not for us to speak on. You know, we've already decided as a state that we're going to allow it. You know, there's arguments on both sides, you know, that it's good or bad, and the effects. Our question is, will having facilities in our city, will that be harmful to our residents, or would it be beneficial to the city in terms of increased revenue and having good corporate citizens and those kind of things? This last item here, I just linked to. There's a presentation that was done that's pretty good. If someone wants to check it out, I think Ian might have forwarded to me, but just about you know, the different issues related to marijuana. Again, a summary of the laws, different types of facilities, talks about some of the facilities licensed in Michigan, talks about the Recreational Marijuana Act here, considerations for municipalities, and some different information on the types of licenses, Class A, B, C, etc., and other resources here. So, you know, I welcome, you know, I'll work with Cheryl to get this posted, you know, if we can, on the website, and maybe have that link shared through an email or through our bulletin, or whatever, like by, you know, this week, like tomorrow or the next day, hopefully, because this is the information that I think, you know, that we've researched as a committee, and I think the residents we want to educate the residents about this so they can take a look themselves. And, you know, I think one of the items that we want to discuss today is, you know, have we done enough to educate the residents, and what's the next step in terms of feedback that we need to obtain? As a committee, we probably need to decide that. So I'll stop there, and I'll let any of my committee members comment on that summary. If you want to add to it, you know, please do. So I'll be quiet for now, and I'll let you guys comment.
So I'd like to add something if I could. As you were going through this, one of the things that I found most eye-opening when we were talking with the various cities and with the various officials, you said it once, and you talked about the fact that the police forces in those towns had not been necessarily, you know, favorable of opening up sales of marijuana, but then that hadn't borne out. And so just to reiterate that point, but the other thing that was most interesting to me when we talked to those cities was how like Hazel Park and Ferndale and River Rouge started initially with like 3 retail license, but then they had gone back. And so when I talked with the city manager, they had talked about, well, now they're up to 5. And now Hazel Park, they have 5, but they're, you know, they're doing a grow facility. And so there wasn't a single city or municipal government employee that we talked to that wanted to back off what they had done. And so that was really important for me as we were looking at it, was they've had time to go through this process. And I think we gleaned a lot of really good advice from them, as well as documentation. But each of those places we talked to kind of started, and now they've gone to the next level. So they haven't had bad experiences, or they would have backed off. And then there were 2 other things. One was when we were talking about it and you know, the experiences and everything, we were also talking about the quality of the businesses themselves. And I think for me, that was a huge surprise. Not that I thought it was going to be like bad businesses, but the fact that they were very professional, and in learning more about them, it was much more, I think we talked about this, like a high-end jewelry store, as opposed to, you know, a fast food restaurant. So just seeing how the businesses themselves conducted their business and what they did. And then the other thing that's most interesting, and I hope that Cora doesn't mind me asking her to speak, but when she did the research and she talked about the increase in property values and she brought forward that documentation and what that could mean to me as a homeowner in Lathrup Village, that was a huge moment for me as far as what this could actually do for our city and for our tax base. So I was really appreciative of the research she did and the information she brought forward. And I think that that would be a valuable bit of information that other residents might be interested in.
Thanks, Don. Good points. We can add that in as well. Cora, were you going to comment?
I was just going to say, first of all, apologize for joining late. I was on vacation last week and totally forgot to put the Zoom thing on my calendar. So just totally spaced. So that's why I was like, so I apologize.
No worries.
And because I was on vacation, I did not get a chance to look through the materials, whatever you sent, Salim, that had, materials attached. I've been swamped at work since I got back. So I did not have a chance to look at that. So the document that you were going through when I signed on, did that have any information about the property, how property values?
No, it did not. It okay. Did not. We can add that in.
Yeah, I mean, I think
is that something that do we have research behind that?
Well, that was actually pulled from that Michigan Municipal League.
Yeah, I saw it in there. Yeah.
So, I don't have any independent research. That's where I pulled it from. If you wanted me to, do a little summary of it, I'd be happy to do that if you want to add it to your document. But I agree with Don that for me, that was the most surprising thing in this whole process, was finding out that not only were property values of residents in the cities where dispensaries opened not, negatively impacted, but by and large, they had positive impacts. Property values of homes, in cities with dispensaries rose, and also the tax base rose in those cities. One city in particular, I can't remember which, said, in a few years, they expect their tax base to double, which is just incredible. So I think that's something like a lot of residents would really be interested to know, and it might, really impact their thinking on this issue. So I do think it should be included.
Okay, I agree. I'll add that in. I saw that. I read that Michigan Municipal that magazine as well, and saw that in there. So I'll actually take a look and add those points in as well. But it does make sense for people to realize that and know that as well.
Yeah, because I really think that the perception is probably the opposite. So it was just really, really interesting to me, and I think it will, is something that the residents should be made aware of, so that they don't think, oh, if we get dispensaries, our property values are all going to go, to hell. I mean, they're most likely going to increase based on the experience of all these other municipalities. So.
Salim, just wanted to add one thing. Oh, Cora, do you have any additional information?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So regarding the test labs. So I'm not sure if you have this in your summary, but when we spoke to the test lab experts, they confirmed that when they actually opened up both test labs in Bay City and in Lansing, the people that applied for those jobs actually relocated in those cities. So they said that was an added plus. In addition to that, they don't hold any product on site. They don't hold any major product. It's only a percentage of product from the provisioning centers that provide the information or provide the product. So I'm not sure if that was added.
I don't know if that detail is in this summary document, but you're correct about that, Ian. That's true. And also, those are, high tech businesses with, highly educated staff and employees, which we were told they'd move into the city, they'd add to the culture of the city. They have high tech equipment at those facilities. So no traffic issues, and really no crime problems because they just test small samples of
Yeah.
the product.
Right. And no environmental impact at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it. So, the 5 different parts of the business, a lot of people just think it's medical and provisioning, but there are other aspects of the business that could be considered as well. So I think you touched on all of that. I don't think I have anything else.
So if anyone has any suggestions, so this is a kind of a summary document. I mean, we could maybe suggest if you think, give me your opinion on if you think we should put whatever we got online for anyone to look at. Like we have copies of interviews and, data and things like that. We could include it if people want to take a look at it. But this document is kind of just made to summarize what our research kind of showed us.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think it should go up online because, we're just trying to educate the residents and everyone that's interested in it. And even the interviews, I think, should go up there because obviously, now people are aware that we've done a lot of work, but behind the scenes, what exactly did we do? What kind of questions did we ask, as well as what was the data that came back? So I think it's good that we do that.
So I just want to ask really quickly, Ian, before we put other people's names up on our website, if we have any need for permission before we do that.
Yeah, we probably need to do that for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. I can take, the interviews that we participated in. I can take those names and just contact those individuals and ask them if we can use the interview that we conducted and put it on the site. Okay.
Okay.
Ian, you have my permission for our interview. This is Craig talking.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, you
All
got
right.
it.
No problem. Okay. All right. So I'll make a note here.
Cora is the attorney. I hope you're really proud that the English major thought of that.
That is a very good idea. Yes. So are we did we decide doing a poll? Is that what's happening, or?
Well, yeah, let's
not
discuss
decide
it.
that yet?
Well, let's discuss it. So that's our part B of our agenda, discussion by the committee. So, I mean, my thought was, yeah, I thought that's what we were going to do is, do our research, figure out, what the facts are, what the issues are, but then also get a pulse from the residents of what they're thinking now. I realize the residents voted, 2-1 in 2018 to legalize marijuana, but my thought was always, let's poll the residents and see what they think about allowing actual retail or, different types of facilities in the city. So that's why we had come up, Carl and myself had come up with these polling questions that I think everyone saw. But, let's talk about it. I mean, my thought was, yeah, we should do it. I mean, what does everybody else think?
Yes. I agree.
So not being the elected official in this and just thinking about it. First of all, when the instrument was sent out, there were some concerns that I had with the instrument, and I think Cora and I both responded back. I'm not sure just kind of a survey out in the midst, kind of like dropped on people's laps without explanation is really going to do what we need it to do as far as having people make informed decisions that they feel comfortable with when they're providing feedback. My other concern with it is it's almost like I'll vote for it in the ballot box, but when it comes to having it in my city, then I may place a judgment on it. And so I guess I would head to the other side of that is if our city passed it in a statewide election, then I'm not sure we necessarily need a poll, but maybe public comment time, or I just don't know what a poll or survey gets us different, or in Lathrop Village, kind of the way that we tend to do things, what that gets us as opposed to a public commentary time and discussions with people. And so I guess I'd like to know the aim of the two and how those are different.
Well, I mean, my thought is public comment is great. We welcome it. We want it. But I mean, we have like 15 people on this call right now, and most of us are panelists, or some of us are panelists. And I think that's always what happens with meetings, is you don't have everyone that's there to participate. So a poll can at least get out to more people and get their thoughts on a subject. I mean, we've done polls for other issues. I think the infrastructure committee did a poll, I believe. I think we polled for this issue like back in 2019 before. So I understand that. I agree that, you know, in order to make an informed decision in a poll, somebody should know about the subject. And that's what we're trying to do, is educate the public about the subject through these open meetings and their ability to participate, and then the ability to check out information online. I mean, my thought is, if we put this information out there, give people some time to look at it, I think a poll would result in them making a more making an informed decision. I mean, that's my opinion on it. That's why I was in favor of it.
So Don, let me ask you a question. So is your reservations regarding the initial polling? Are you saying we should go with the initial polling versus trying to get another poll out there and just get the information out? What was your thinking behind that?
No, I'm not opposed to a poll. It's just I had
Okay.
concerns about the questions when I saw them on the survey that we were sent the other day. And so the phrasing and the structure of the survey wasn't I guess how I would do it if I was going to build a Likert scale or an open-ended questionnaire, if I was trying to, you know, get an effective sampling group. And so I had struggles with that. But what I was just asking about was, I'm not sure what the history is. This the typical way that Lathrop Village solicits responses from its residents? And if so, then I think we should behave in the typical way. I wasn't sure what the structure was as far as open commentary or, you know, open comment periods or whatever. My other issue or concern, and seriously, I just don't know, is how accurate, because how accurate is the information we have as opposed to the people we send it out to? Because there was even a question on the survey that said, do you live in Lathrop Village? And I guess my perspective on that is, you shouldn't be getting the survey if you don't live in Lathrop Village, or if that was kind of a check. If somebody says no, then I wasn't sure how that worked.
I think I'll ask Cheryl to comment, but I think that question is a check, because we want to, you know, we can't ensure that only Lathrop Village people respond, right? Because I think it's, once you have this poll out there, if somebody links to it, they could reply to it, I think. So that is an issue. But we ask, if they live in Lathrup Village, we ask that question, and I think there's a limit that only one IP address can give one response. It's an issue for sure. I think that's a question, but I don't think that stopped us from doing these polls before. And as far as is it a typical practice for the city? I don't know, but I know we've done them. I know we did it last year. Cheryl, do you remember, did the infrastructure committee do a poll? I thought they did as well.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did one before the first one, and they're currently doing one right now.
So I think
So I would say these are, just casual surveys. It's definitely not a scientific study,
Right.
but just to gauge some input, and even soliciting response can be challenging because a lot of people just simply don't respond to polls. Although the last one last year on marijuana did, I forgot the exact number, but it was a larger response than most of our polls received.
Right.
But by any means, it wasn't scientifically based.
So my question, I guess, is why are we doing another poll on this issue when we already did polling on this issue last year? I mean, wasn't the date of it in 2019, so it had already passed at that point? It was already legal at that point. So what's the value of doing this poll now? What's the difference? I mean, if we provide this informational, this information to the residents and then they take a poll, I see a little more value in it. But just taking the same poll that was taken a year, maybe 18 months ago at the most, I don't really see what the value in it is.
Yeah, it's been, I think it was in March 2019, so it's been, like 18 months or so, whatever that is. I mean, that's a legitimate question. Is there value in doing another poll, a year plus after this last poll? I guess my thought is questions are different. I mean, I'm always just one that wants to get more information out to the people and see what they think. I've always kind of operated that way. I want to get their opinions on it. I don't want to make the decisions in a vacuum necessarily.
Right.
That's kind of what I was thinking behind it. But it's a good question. Do we need it?
I mean,
a year
the
plus
results,
after?
from what I recall, is the results of the last one were pretty much 50-50. They were pretty close. I think they were slightly less in favor of dispensaries, but I think it was very close. I don't remember exactly, 48, 49 to 51, 52, something like that. So it's very close. So I don't know that there's going to be much difference in this poll. Maybe there'll be a little more. We all know this is like a society in which people just want like an easy fix. They don't want to spend time to read things. So even if we do provide information, I still have concerns that people are just going to, gloss over the information and just take the poll based on what their preset prejudices are. But I mean, all we can do is provide the information, hope they read it, and hope they take the poll. But if it comes back 50-50, I'm not sure, how that's really going to help us. I mean, I think, in my mind, the purpose of the committee is for us to evaluate all the information that we gather, and then we make the recommendation to City Council based on what we think is best for the city. And then City Council obviously votes on what they want to do. So in my mind, I guess maybe it'll help City Council, the poll. If they think, residents are strongly in favor of it, then, they'll feel better voting for it. Or if residents are strongly against it, maybe that will sway some minds. But I'm not, I don't oppose a poll. I'm just not
That's understood.
this.
No, I get it. So we did use the other two cities, Walled Lake and Hazel Park, as a benchmark. They basically went with the original polling. They didn't re-poll in both cases, and then they took it up to council, and that was it. But we've had some sidebar discussions regarding whether or not polling, should we redo a poll, and like you said, it's close already. We may get the same results.
So I guess other question is the timing. So when do we have to have a recommendation to City Council? Like, when is the drop dead date? Like, we have to have a recommendation.
We want to give a recommendation. We wanted to do it by this July meeting, July 20 something, right? That's their meeting. But
Yeah.
We can do it. So ideally, we would want a recommendation by then, or like soon after, like by the end of July, so they can consider it. Like they can call a special council meeting for like early August and consider it then as well. So they do need some time before that sunset date to like hear it in council and deliberate and make their decisions, etc. One thing maybe we could do, and I understand what you guys are saying too, and I agree that it's going to be probably close 50-50, whatever. And if we don't have a lot of response, then how representative is it really anyways? But on the other hand, I thought, our part of what we're doing is gathering information, but also, trying to figure out, okay, what's the city residents thinking too. But maybe we could give our recommendation and let the council decide if they, the council's going to decide, right, whether they're going to do this or not. Maybe
Right.
they want to say, some council people are political, and they might want to know, well, what are the city residents going to say about this? And they might commission a poll.
Yeah, take it off your plate. I get it.
See, but I kind
But
of
I agree
with that, because this committee did all this work, and I think we put forward our recommendation. And so it was based on the initial poll. We did the work, and then we're not, again, ruling one way or the other. We're saying we recommend this, and city council, then they can weigh the options. Do they want to let the sunset expire? Do they want to do the poll? Do they want to go with the actual voting numbers or whatever? I'm just not sure what spending another 30 days and taking another poll gains us.
Right. I would agree with the plan B that Salim is recommending, because, if we think about what Hazel Park did and what Walled Lake did. So I'm using them as an example because we did speak to them in great detail. So it went up to council, and at that point they decided to go with the poll as opposed to taking the committee to do a poll. I don't think they had a committee that did a poll. They went with the older poll. So again, that plan B would work.
Yeah, it's good to talk this through. I agree with that. I think we can give our recommendation, whatever it is. City council can, decide, they're going to consider the issue, and as part of their consideration, if they want to do more work or send us back to do more work or do a poll on their own, they can do that, right?
Right.
And by then, and we can provide this data to everyone and say, hey, this is information that residents can review, the council can review and look at and use it in making their decisions.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I think that makes sense. So
Okay.
Can I ask another thing? I know that the committee's been doing a lot of talking, but we do have a lot of, I guess, citizens here or people here. Should we hear from them before we push forward like what we think we should do?
Yeah, well, we have a public comment part on the agenda, so we can do that now.
Yeah. Before we go to that, okay. So my question is for Cheryl and Salim. So the data that you presented, so you're going to send it to Cheryl. Well, prior to doing that, you're probably going to do a little bit of finessing on the boldness or whatever, make sure the links work and all that. And then you're going to send it to Cheryl. Are we going to put it in a section on the city's website, or is it going to just be in general, or I'm not sure how it's going to be uploaded. So I'm just trying to get an understanding so we could speak to it if someone asks.
Well, for one thing, first we'll also have to clear it with our people we spoke to and make sure it's okay with them.
That's on my to-do list.
Yeah,
Yep.
But if they're not okay with the names, that's fine. We can take the names off and we can leave the
city,
the city, and have our summary will still stand. So I guess it's a good question, Ian. My thought was put it somewhere where people can access it and review it. I would think that's the website, but I don't know for sure. I'll let Cheryl give her input on that.
Okay, before Cheryl says anything, so Salim, maybe we can just shorten the work process. Maybe we should just take the names off.
Yeah.
And just say, Hazel Park Chief of Police, and then leave the phone number off and all that. And I think it would be easier because I remember trying to reach them. It was difficult. So I can do it again if you want me to do that.
No. That's a good idea. Let's just make it generic with the title. We don't have to have names associated with it. We don't even need the names of the businesses. We put business owner, right? Or business in Hazel Park or whatever. We can do it that way.
All right. Okay.
And
sorry,
to answer your question, on the city website, there's a page dedicated to the marijuana study group. It's under government tab, and then there's boards and commissions and study groups. And then under that, there's for the marijuana, and that's where your links can be found.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
It
that'd
works,
be
right?
good.
Okay.
So you want to do, Cheryl, can we do a public comment period? Are you able to see if there's any questions or let them know how to ask questions?
Yes, if people could raise their hand to let me know that they wish to comment, and you'll be unmuted and unmute on your end as well. Or I can just run through the list of people whose names are here.
Yeah.
Gonna call on people.
Yeah.
I'll jump
Although
in if that's okay. I'm Craig.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just want to thank the study group and the committee for taking the time to research it. I appreciated our opportunity to talk and your questions and your inquisitiveness of, you know, what's been going on in the state and your willingness to you know, just review it and take the time. So thank you for the effort. I hope it's a recommendation to participate, and that, you know, our clients have the opportunity to, you know, take on the challenge of impressing you enough to approve them. So I appreciate everything. Thank you. And feel free to call in another time if you want to do more on this, on the work. I'm happy to help again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I don't see any questions.
I see Officer Tompkins is here. I didn't know if he wanted to offer any comments.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure. No, I agree with everything that was said in the last, you know, kind of transaction between everybody. I think the study group has done a fantastic job of gathering information. I think you guys have a ton of information that you've put together, and you know, obviously, I think it's all very good, and I've learned a lot throughout this. And yeah, I actually think that the idea of just presenting it to City Council and then going from there with their recommendation on polling, I think that sounds like the best course of action. But, you know, again, whatever you guys decide.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Carl's on. Hey, Carl, what do you think about all this?
I am also in line with maybe foregoing another survey. If we did do another survey, I would just suggest that we have more specific information as to the various license types, which is in the document that Celine shared. So I think that's the only thing different between last year and this year, is there's more specific information about grow facilities, test facilities, transportation facilities, whereas last year it was just, do we want to allow them in Lathrup Village? Businesses, period, was the question last year, to my understanding.
Yeah.
But it also, for the sake of time, may make more sense to forego that portion of it and hand our recommendations off to the council, like has been discussed previously. So that's it for me. I think the committee did a great job of putting everything together. So thanks for the diligence, guys.
Thanks, Carl.
Got an affirmative from your child as well. Were they
Yeah.
voting?
Hey, we can have Officer Tompkins go over there and show him the police car.
Yes.
I'll bring some. I'll bring some badges with me to hand
Oh,
out. to 'em.
nice.
Oh,
Sweet.
that would be good.
All right.
Any other comments? No?
Wow. Man, this hard work is,
Okay.
holy cow.
So if there's no other comments, I think the next is, you know, committee member comments again, if in response to public comment or if anything else that we want to talk about. I don't really have too much more to say. Anyone else want to make a comment?
Yeah, let me make a quick comment. So are we as a committee going to make a recommendation in the very near future, or are we going to do that now, or are we going to just kind of, you know, look at the collected data that you presented and then circle back and say, okay, it's a decision time?
Well, I guess, I mean, this is our committee, this is our meeting, so we can decide what we want to do. What do you guys want to do today? We've got the information, we've seen the data. I summarized it again. You've seen this kind of for the first time, but I did email it last week. You guys want to look through it, or do you have enough information to make a decision now? Do you want to have a vote on it now? I mean, I'm open to it. I mean, I think we've discussed and we've got information. I'm okay with us having a committee vote now on what we want to do. Or you guys
Salim, I
think?
have one quick question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If we do forego another survey, would there be an opportunity for residents to address any concerns they may have on the information that we've compiled so far?
I think the residents can always voice their opinion, because the city council is going to consider the recommendation. Whatever recommendation we give them, the city council will have to consider it at their meetings, which are going to be public meetings. So that will be a forum where the public can come and give their feedback or their input if they want to. And if people like it or don't like it, the council will listen at those meetings. So I think they will have that chance to address what we did or what their thoughts are at that time, whatever it is.
I think that's fair.
So let me ask a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Cora.
My question was going to be, so are we going to just vote like, yes, we're going to allow the sunset to expire, or no? Or are we going to vote like we want to allow X number of dispensaries or a testing facility or what have you? I guess I'm not clear on that.
Let me piggyback on that also.
That's a good question.
So I need to piggyback as well. So we have one committee member that's missing. That's number one. Number two, for the entire committee that's here, did we miss anything? Do you think that we need to take a pause, a step back, and reconvene as a complete committee and then make a decision? Did we miss anything? That's the question.
I can't think of anything that is missing personally. I don't know if anyone else can.
I don't think we missed anything. And I think if we have 4 out of the 5 people on the committee here, I think that's enough to do a vote.
Okay.
I think. And I think that our vote, the issue when legalization passed, the issue was for all the cities to opt in or opt out, right, of allowing marijuana businesses to operate in their cities. It was like opt in or opt out, and then they could decide on what the actual businesses were going to be, right? So I think our vote is, are we going to allow marijuana businesses in the city, yes or no? And if it's yes, then that's what we tell the council, and then they might say, okay, what type of businesses and stuff, but then we can get into all that, I think, a little bit down the road. But I think our mandate is, are we going to say yes or no to marijuana businesses in the city? That's my take on it. I mean, what do you guys think? Ian, as a council person, what do you think?
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, that's our sole objective.
Yeah, and council can always come back and ask us, okay, if we decide that we want to allow them, do you have a recommendation as to the number, the type, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I'd be happy to, to move forward and assist with that process too. And, we'd ask everyone if, if they are ready to, to get engaged in that process, because that'll be more involved that'll be a more involved process. So that might also involve like looking at the applications and coming up with the ordinances and stuff like that. But I think our initial task is to decide, are we going to allow marijuana facilities in the city, yes or no? I think that's clearly our task. So that's what we decided the first time. We said, no,
Right.
We don't want to have any facilities in the city. We didn't vote on yes on this part, no on that part, or whatever.
Right.
Um,
So the plan
And
B
I don't
after,
think that's our, I don't think that's our role.
Yeah.
We were a citizens committee to do the research,
Yeah.
become subject matter experts, you know, and make a recommendation.
okay, here's someone talking.
It's Officer Tompkins' radio.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my.
Okay, so this is really plan A, just to make a recommendation to opt in or out. And then council, we take it to council, then obviously they have to make a decision, bring it back to us to say, okay, what type of that business do we need to explore? Okay, I think
Yeah.
that's acceptable.
Mhm.
So if everyone's okay with it, why don't we just vote on it now?
Okay,
So the question is going to be,
That was the question.
what's that?
who's phrasing the question and what is the question?
I'll try to phrase it. And Cora is the attorney. She can tell me if I'm phrasing it wrong. But,
Okay, Craig
question-
is off duty, so Cora, you're the attorney.
the question is, does the marijuana study group committee vote in favor of allowing marijuana related businesses into the city? You know, pending that we get the right applicants and all that. Are we in favor of allowing medical, or are we in favor of allowing marijuana related businesses into the city? Yes or no? And then, so that's our vote, and we can you know, put our recommendation to the city in different words if you want, but that's kind of the gist of it, right?
Okay.
So
And when you say that, we're saying medical and recreational. We're not.
Or or marijuana businesses, period.
Any
marijuana businesses, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Marijuana businesses. Are we?
So we're choosing to opt in,
Yeah.
which was the phrase, yeah.
Right. Are we choosing to opt in to allow marijuana businesses into the city? If it's yes, vote yes. If it's no, say no. So I'll do a poll.
Ladies first.
Dawn, how about you?
I will vote yes.
Cora?
I vote yes.
Carl? Yes. Can you give an audio vote?
We need
Carl?
audio.
Just for the record.
Let's see.
You got
Cheryl
it.
has to. Okay, go
Yes, for me as well. It's loud in my background. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's okay. Thanks, Carl. And I will vote yes as well. Don Eichstadt, who's on our committee, is not here, but you know, I think that we have the majority vote anyways as yes.
Officer
Ian is an
Tompkins.
advisor and not a voting member of the committee. So thanks for your participation, Ian.
No problem.
But I think, so we got to vote. So it's 4-0, one absent. So
Officer Tompkins has to vote.
no, Officer Tompkins is also not on the committee.
Okay, there you go.
He's a valued participant in our
He was
meetings.
a very good advisor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's only a 5-person committee. That's what the committee was.
Okay.
So the committee has voted yes, so we will put forth a recommendation to the city council to allow marijuana-related businesses into the city. And we'll give that information to them, and then we'll wait for them to direct us on any other work they want us to do related to recommending the types of facilities and the go-forward plan and things like that.
Okay, and as an advisor, can we just round up this discussion with an official statement and how everyone voted and who was absent and who was an advisor, that kind of thing?
Sure, yeah, sure. So did you want to say something, Don?
I also think at the end, when this goes before council or whatever, I think that we should also be there as part of this, because this is not where I anticipated my vote would be when we started this process. and fully exploring it and going through, I think that also is something that should be, you know, heard by council if needed.
Yeah.
I blame Cora for this.
I'm not sure how I get it. But I mean,
Okay.
you know, when we started this process, I was on the fence. I really didn't know, you know, how it was going to end up. And once we went through and, you know, gathered all this information, and it was just really eye-opening. So
Yeah.
I feel very, very confident in my yes vote now. But when it started, I couldn't really say for sure how I was going to vote.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so when we provide a recommendation, I'll write it up. I'll put it in writing and I'll shoot it to the group so you guys can look at it and make sure it's okay with what we just voted on. But as far as an ending statement, I guess the statement to close the discussion is that the Marijuana Study Group Committee voted tonight on July 8th to allow marijuana-related businesses into the city of Lathrop Village, or to provide that recommendation to the city council to allow marijuana-related businesses into the city. So we will provide that recommendation in writing to the city council. The members who voted yes, the five members of the committee were Don Medley, Cora Morgan, Don Eichstadt, Carl Woodson, and Salim Siddiqui. Don Eichstadt was not able to attend the meeting. The other four members, Salim Siddiqui, Don Medley, Cora Morgan, and Carl Woodson, all voted yes to the question of allowing marijuana facilities into the city and providing that recommendation to the city council. Is that good, Ian?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I think that does it for me. Next steps, the thing on the agenda, next steps is I'll write up that recommendation. We'll make adjustments to this document in terms of taking names off and cleaning up the brightness and things like that of some of the words.
Salim, are you going to add that information about property values?
Yeah.
Did you want me to compile something, or are you going to do that?
I can do that. I can add it in.
Okay.
I'll add a little bit of detail on the test labs, as I think Ian mentioned. Yeah, so I'll add that information in, and I mean, I'll put it out there, and if something's missing, we can always add to the document. I mean, as we go, I mean, it'll be up on the website, and people can look at it, and we just move forward from there.
Yep.
Okay. So with that, I think we can close the meeting unless anyone else has any comments.
Just one last observation. Want to thank the citizens for really participating in this committee. Cora, Don, Carl. Oh man, it was a tough road, but I really appreciate you guys really sticking your neck out and really educating yourselves, as well as informing other people and educating other people, and not losing your cool through this entire process. So thank you. Really appreciate that.
I do have to say that I didn't think that I would ever tour a grow facility, but I've done it now.
Yeah, I agree with Ian. Thanks everyone for participating. I mean, we needed everyone's participation. It's a big issue, and we had to help figure it out. And I appreciate everyone's support and help with the whole process. Yep. So thank you.
Well, thank you to Ian, because he's an advisory member and he did a lot of work. So
oh man, you did a ton of work.
Hey, I appreciate it. My pleasure.
So, all right. So thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to sign off, and we'll move forward. I'll write up that recommendation, or the recommendation to the council, and I'll send it to you guys to review, and then we'll send it to them.
All right.
Ahead of their July meeting, so they can make their take an initial pass at it.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Salim. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Cheryl.